golf course, which is beautiful. It's the community they live in. And this is how much fun and joy that I have on this particular vacation. My friend John actually scheduled a tea time, which I spurned. I said, well, let's just pack in a little bit more time for leisurely lunch or whatever. But on the day that we arrived, we did a wonderful boat trip to Martha's Vineyard.
Oh my God, this was fabulous. I hadn't been in a speedboat for a while, and so we went on it. We just gunned it, and John was at the ready. One of the funniest parts of the trip, which I will never forget in my entire life, is when we're docking at Martha's Vineyard. Mary Ellen was getting off the boat, and she had John's phone in her large pocket, and she just the phone slid like a trout on the boat into the water. And the funniest part was Mary Ellen's dry response to this: John, your phone's in the water. Your phone's in the water. It was in Boston. Sorry, Mary Ellen. And I just was staring. I was frozen. And poor John, it took about 24 hours for him to get over that. I may not have gotten over that. So I know.
He was pretty good about it. I think it probably helped that he had friends there, and he did make jokes at her expense continually. But she had a new phone on order by the time we finished our walk, actually. And she was an ER nurse, among many other nursing things that she's done through the years. And her ability to handle trauma was clearly visible in the way she just quietly said, John, your phone's in the water. He's like, what? I mean, she was so calm about it. He really thought she was kidding.
Yes.
So anyway, we had spent a wonderful couple of hours at Martha's Vineyard, long walks, and listened to me slipping into the Boston Martha's Vineyard. So we had lunch there and took a nice boat ride back. We turned on some classic rock on the way back. I'm not sure that was the best, but anyway, it sounded better on the boat. And one thing that was cool, at one point, John turned, and he did it to me, too. He said, how fast do you think we're going? Because it was actually relatively calm, but there was some wake, and so I was in the front of the boat where you're going to get more turbulence, so I was there bumping along. Jane, who is now sitting here with kind of a sore hip from bracing herself, so we asked each of us how fast we thought the boat was going.
Oh, my God. I was so off. I thought it was 40 to 50 miles per hour, and it was 19 miles per hour. So there's how unnavigable I am.
Right. If he went 30, it would have been craziness. I guessed 30, and it was at that point he was going 16, so he jacked it up to 19 or 20. It was really wonderful. We had an absolutely beautiful day. It was just warm enough, just cool enough, and really fantastic and lovely place. And then the next day, we went to Plymouth and went to just absolutely every place we ate was out of this. Even in not so highly touted Milford, our meals were good. Probably the worst food was at the reunion, and it was pretty good. So we had a wonderful time, and we went to Plymouth and we saw
We had sandwiches and sandwich.
Sandwiches and sandwich. There we go. Right. Yes. And then we went to Plymouth yesterday on the way, and we saw Plymouth Rock, that's all you have to do is look at it. Look at it. And the Mayflower.
All I can say is I don't know how they did it. That's the narrowest boat ever. I don't get it. I do not get it. Very small people. Very small people.
The way I had not seen the Mayflower in a long, long time, and it's a replica. They've done a replica a couple times, and I think the latest one was done in 2012. Originally, the replica was actually a gift from the British government, and they actually sailed the thing across the Atlantic and had to do some diversions to avoid heavy seas. So you can imagine what it was like, these 120-ish people coming over. It was a little bigger than John described. He basically was making it sound like it was the size of his speedboat, but it was sort of like a small, like a small version of kind of this ships that you would see maybe in the movies, like on Mutiny on the Bounty. It didn't look that big, I'll say that for sure. By the way, John's, the boat we ride on is probably something I could recommend. He belongs to a boat club, and basically you don't have your own boat. You just go to the thing and get a boat, and you pay a fee, and you can get it in various places all across the country. I forget the It's a timeshare. It's a boating timeshare, yes. And so that was really cool. And I've always heard people say that the best boat to have is your friend's boat. So this looks like an even better version of that. All you have to do is pay for the gas and do a little tutorial about how to drive a boat, which driving a speedboat is pretty easy. If you can't do that, you better check yourself. Anyway, so far, the near conclusion of this was driving back to Milton, Massachusetts. Well, we're actually in Braintree, but in Milton was the soccer game, which was moved from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. The epic match between Framingham High School, the Flyers, my high school, Framingham North High School, does not exist, although I thought all along that they were using the Framingham South building and that the North building had been turned into offices. It's not true. They took the Framingham South colors and nickname, but the Framingham North is the physical building that they use. Anyway, my nephew Asher was playing. He played an outstanding game. I think there were more clink scales there than maybe all the other fans combined. And certainly the level of enthusiasm and loudness was provided, especially by my brother Jim, and even more so by Asher's mom and my sister Colleen, who is a vociferous fan, and she was and is a fabulous athlete. It was a lot of clink scale fun.
Oh, yes. Quite fun. And Asher was out there doing his best. He has this really cool kind of floppy hair in the front, so you can't miss him. He was just he looked like he was really trying really hard. And we have some issues with technical things in the way they play. We need to talk
to team, not Asher.
Not Asher, the team. We need to talk to that coach. But as if I know. But I kind of knew. So it's like, if I know, you know something's going on there. But it was a blast. We had a blast.
He said, I think that his father, Tim, at once said, well, his coach is a little bit old, and so maybe he hasn't got the enthusiasm. I said, he's my age. And he goes, oh, yeah, I didn't think he was that old. That was the last thing he said to me, actually. So, and today we are off to spend the day in Boston. We're going to an art museum, and I don't know what else Jane has cooked up. So going to the big city, which is like 7 miles from here, should be wonderful, and maybe we'll do a thing or two we haven't done.
Yes, Museum of Fine Arts, a little lunch, a little Newberry Street, maybe Boston Common.
We shall see. It'll be fun, and then we have a leisurely day tomorrow with a late flight. But we took the time out just for you folks today to spend some time and describe our tremendous adventures here in New England on the lovely roads. I think that's Jane's highlight of this trip has been how much better the roads are here than they are in the Midwest.
Because I'm driving, and there's a reason.
And Jane, of course, now insists that she drives, which is fine with me. I spent my teen years with my brother always wanting to drive, and now Jane always wants to drive. So I'm a fine passenger, and I'll be on my phone a little bit trying to root the Astros on to a victory today, and the Royals could clinch a spot in the next round. So go Royals, and we will be back on Friday with a great profile for you. And every other week, of course, we gather here, even on the road, to bring you Reconcilable Differences with Danny and Jane.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Joe Spiker and his team are the best in the business for all your roofing needs, handled with honesty and craftsmanship. Visit them at eastonroofing.com.